You go into the 80s. Everyone kind of knows that it's like, okay, it's all show. It's an act, you know. But then you go into the 90s, and the big thing that made Marilyn Manson shocking was how he was real.
Right.
He brought the reality. So I think if something's going to be shocking, or if there's going to be an artist that is going to make music or do something that's shocking, it's realism.
Yeah.
Brutal realism is what is shocking, I think. What it's going to be is what you're going to see. I can understand how Alice Cooper would be shocking in the late 60s into the 70s.
Right.
Because there wasn't much rock and roll history before that. But then you go through the 80s, and then Marilyn Manson became big and popular in the 90s. How does one become shocking in the 90s when you've already had all this other rock and roll and all this music beforehand?
I think...
What did Marilyn Manson do,
like I say,
to become shocking in the 90s?
What I think makes good shock... I mean, the 80s were... You had the 80s, and I think the 80s, the big shocking thing was the Satanic Panic. You know, this is the devil's music, and, you know...
So that was the shock rock.
You had... And they even had their own little... I mean, the 80s was basically Alice Cooper ejaculating, and there's all his kids.
Yeah.
That's what that was. It's like he had an orgy with Aerosmith, David Bowie, and Alice Cooper, and then you have 80s glam rock. That's how I've always kind of looked at it.
Yeah.
But... And they had the Satanic Panic. They had, the Mothers Against Metal, or what was it?
PMRC.
PMRC, when, they're putting that little sticker on cassettes and albums when they're realizing you're just making that out. You're going to make that album's going to get sold now when you put that little sticker on it. They're like, oh, bad language in this album. That's mine. That's mine. And they had those like demetaling programs where they take all your spike bracelets, and that was that. And then it kind of died down, like we talked about. The decadence of the '80s kind of became silly. It became cartoonish,
and grunge kind of.
Then grunge took over. That was the new rock and roll.
So now we're into the '90s.
Now you're into the '90s, and things are kind of quiet. But there's this music being made, this industrial music. You got 9 Inch Nails, and they were actually pretty mainstream
at first. They actually got more like
and you had other bands like Ministry, and there was this industrial music, White Zombie, and they were all putting on these great shows. But you get Marilyn Manson, and what I said beginning of this is what makes a good shock rocker shocking isn't just the music and the theatrics of your show. It's how you're affecting not only the community you live in, but the world. And Marilyn Manson, when he came out, it was the right place and the right time. What he was doing, it hit a nerve with the religious fundamentalists, and that just catapulted him. I saw that.
Even into the 90s?
Even into the 90s.
Wow.
I saw the Antichrist Superstar show, and not only was that one of the best shows I've ever seen, hands down. I mean, I remember seeing that, and I was just like, wow. Because not only was the music great, the stage show was amazing. I watched him get up on a pulpit and rip a Bible and just throw that out. When that image is in America, the people come out. And then that's just PR for your band. They're just promoting your band out there with their, you're all going to... Today, it's kind of comical. You see those people at sports games, that you're going to burn in hell people. But back then, if you had those guys out protesting your show, you'd hit a nerve, and it just continued with him. It snowballed into his later albums like Hollywood. You had the Columbine shootings, and who was public enemy number one? Him.
Yeah.
Because these kids liked Marilyn Manson. I think there was a couple of pictures where they're wearing Marilyn Manson shirts. That's the reason why the kids went up and shot a school. And what I love about shock rock, especially with Alice Cooper and Marilyn Manson, whenever they're interviewed, they can back up their bull intelligently. Mm-hmm. They don't sound like idiots. they can just navigate through a conversation and nail every point, and to where you just feel ridiculous for even asking them why. You know, you see early Alice Cooper interviews, the guy is highly intelligent.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's doing. And that's not somebody that's just out there to kind of rattle a cage. No, they're artistic. I remember when I first saw Marilyn Manson on stage, I was like, there's nothing like this. I mean, this is like a new version of Alice Cooper.
Yep.
But it was way more intense. And I mean, that music was heavy. Antichrist Superstar is a freaking heavy album. And I remember the artwork. The artwork, I mean, it wasn't just artwork. It was makeup he was doing. He did these things where he'd make his head bald and everything was distorted, but it was like the makeup effects that he was doing. And everything, you know, there was a story behind what he was actually trying to accomplish. And again, he was in a real dark place recording that album. I think he's probably always been in a dark place. But with these artists like Bowie, Cooper, they keep making music. That's what they do. They keep making music. And as it progresses on, you know, they still, you know, you lose venom from your fangs. You're not going to have that forever. No. But you can still see the guy that was there 20 years ago doing this, and this is just where they're at now. It's like you see Alice Cooper. There's the Welcome to Your Nightmare. You know, there's Muscle of Love. There's $1 Billion Babies. And then, yeah, you get to the Flush the Fashion, you know, Raise Your Hands and Yell.
Yep.
You get there and you're kind of, eh.
Do you think
I love Trash. Trash I thought was a fantastic comeback. But then you get into Hey Stupid, and they just keep on popping. Welcome to My Nightmare 2, you know, stuff like that. I mean, they just keep on doing what they do. But there's that one sweet area in their career where that is shock rock. And it's not just for their fans. It's shocking for anybody involved in the country. It's all over the news. That's what creates good shock rock. A lot of bands have copied it and tried to, you know, do, you know, Wasp, Lizzie Borden.
The thing, well, as a fan of both those bands, you can always tell that it was like, okay, it's their costume. Essentially, these are the stage clothes that they're putting on.
Right. And
now, obviously, Blackie Lawless isn't going to be walking into Target with a cod piece on with a saw blade coming out of it.
No.
You know.
That would be awesome if he did.
I think when you had the shocking bands, or what was considered shocking in the 80s, I think most people were kind of like you see Wasp, you know, and they had a song called Fuck Like a Beast.
Right.
Which is supposed to be a shocking song.
Yeah.
But for it's like, there's a song called Fuck Like a Beast. Like it was never, like you see all that stuff, but it was never, it's kind of like how my relationship was to horror films. Like I never found horror movies to be like scary. There was just more like cool, you know, like they cut some guy's head off and you're like, you know.
Reanimator. You know, it's like you got movies like when it comes into the horror movies, you got like the movies like Reanimator, and they're ridiculous, but they're amusing and they're entertaining.
Well, that's like Gwar.
There you go. There's a prime example of great shock rock that, you know, takes the more comic book approach to it, and it's still a fantastic show.
Yep.
I mean, more. I think it's more, you know, entertaining to watch. You could still go to a Gwar show today, and you're gonna have the time of your life. I could, you know, tell you a whole bunch of their songs.
But here's the interesting thing about something like Gwar, though. It's sort of like, I don't think there's anyone who's going to be good. If you're going to a Gwar show, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Absolutely.
So the interesting thing I find about Gwar is that who's going to take them that serious?
Right.
To be legitimately shocked by them. But I think Marilyn Manson's, what made him so shocking was kind of how real he was about what he was, because he was singing about topics. And there was there was no tongue in cheek in any of this. Like, you're just like you said, it's like, he's like literally like ripping pages out of the Bible.
He's ripping pages out of the Bible. He's singing songs like "The Man That You Fear." That's the song that's the song he wrote, basically talking about, you know, he went back home, according to the book. He went back home, you know, for a friend's wedding, and at this point he was Marilyn Manson, so he had to go to a church back to his hometown and be Marilyn Manson, and the way that people viewed him and people were, the energy he was taking from everybody around him, Like, everybody was scared shitless of him. He's like, yeah, I'm the man that you fear. You know, he's basically what America is afraid of at that point. That's what he was. You know, it's like you're talking about horror movies. You got Reanimator, movies like House. You've got The Exorcist. Psychologically messes with you. You know, this is something that's going on in a house next door to somebody else. You know, something completely crazy. And then you got the gimmick. You know, you got Gwar, which is just fun. And they are doing it to be outrageous.
Yep.
But, you know, are you going to take seriously a song about a dinosaur that was made being shot up by crack? That's awesome frickin' songwriting. Crack in the egg. They wrote a song about shooting, they pump crack.
How literal can you be?
Putting crack in an egg, and then a dinosaur comes out and destroys America.
The most shocking thing about Gwar is their lyrics. After Marilyn Manson, was there any artist that he passed the baton to, or is he kind of
like
the
I
last
said?
one?
Yeah, in my opinion, and this is just getting older. Ray, we're old.
Yeah.
Next year, we're going to be yelling at kids to get off our lawn.
Yeah.
That's just what happens. This is just the cycle. Rock and roll will go on forever. We're just not going to understand it anymore. We're going to be going, that was the last rock star, Marilyn Manson. That was the last guy. Why am I talking like David Lynch? That was the last true shock rocker for me.
Yeah.
But there's going to be kids out there. There's going to be somebody coming down the pike that's going to frickin' upset everybody. I mean, lately it's been more like pop music, you know? Like I mentioned, Lady Gaga. She had her running streak there where she was freaking everybody out. But she's just an artist doing pop songs. She's great. You know, Madonna did it all through the 80s and the early 90s. You know, she was masturbating on stage, and it was fucking great.
Yeah.
She gave me my sex education. I mean, that was awesome. But everybody wanted her to frickin' burn for it, you know? I think there was a video, she, you know, living on a prayer, you know, she shocked everybody because it was just sacrilege, you know? It's like I say, when you piss off the Christians, you're doing it right. You're doing it right when you piss off the Christians, or anybody for that matter. But these days, I don't know what you could do that would be real shocking. What is gonna A, be good rock music to listen to, but B, something that's gonna upset people, you know? I don't know, these days.
Does
everybody's so damn sensitive, you know, do a cover of Blazing Saddles?
I don't know. They coming on in, whopping and a whooping.
I don't know. I don't know what would be shocking these days. That's the thing.
You
gotta try not to be shocking.
Are we at a point where we don't need to be shocking? Because it's been done.
It's been done, but no. I think that's comes back to my original point with all of shock rock. They're not trying to be shocking. But somewhere down the road, there's going to be a kid who's going to start writing songs down, and he's going to get together with his buddies, and he's going to get on stage, and he's going to do something, and he's going to make a noise, and everybody's going to go apeshit, and he's going to be all over the news, but he's just going to go from town to town. He's going to go to jail. He's going to be called the end of times. He's going to be called trash. He's going to just go through hell. But every show he's going to put 110 into it, and that'll be the next shock rocker.
No, are you talking about yourself?
No, those days are over. You ever try to be in a frickin' horror punk band in Seattle?
Wow. How shocking.
How shocking. I had a great idea for like a shock rock entrance. I always wanted to skydive and land on the stage. Like if I was playing, like if I ever had the opportunity to play like an outdoor venue, I was going to jump out of an airplane and land on stage.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, you ended up landing wrong in the wrong
place.
My
parachute would be like twisted up in the lights, and I'd just be, help!
It was like, there he is.
Give him his mic! Ah! That's how my freaking rock and roll fantasy would play out.